You already proved you were elite, and today, you find out that meant nothing. The gravel crunches under your boots as you step out of the truck. The air smells like salt and cold metal carried in from the Atlantic. In front of you stands a building that looks like it was designed to be forgotten. No sign, no markings, no indication that anything important happens inside, and yet everything about it feels heavy. Men move in and out of the entrance without speaking. No name tapes, no unit patches. Their gear doesn't match anything you've seen in the regular teams. It's cleaner, simpler, more deliberate. No one looks at you, no one acknowledges you. You adjust the strap on your sea bag and take a slow breath. You've been here before, just not here. Bud S. Hell Week, the endless surf torture. You watched 80% of your class quit. You didn't. You earned your trident. Then came the deployments, 4 of them, kicking in doors in countries that don't officially exist. Running operations that never made it into reports anyone outside your chain of command would ever read. You were a Navy SEAL. You were supposed to be the best. But standing here now? Uncertainty, because deep down, beneath the confidence you've built over years of combat, there's a quiet realization forming. These men are operating at a level you don't understand yet, and whatever happens inside that building, it's going to strip you down to nothing. 9 months ago, you submitted your application. You didn't tell anyone. You didn't need to. Everyone knows what it means when a SEAL puts in for this unit. Over 200 operators applied that cycle. Only 40 were invited to screening. You were one of them. At the time, it felt like validation. Now, it feels like a setup. Because you also know how this ends. Half of you won't make it, maybe less. The rest will go back to their teams. No badge, no recognition. Just a non-disclosure agreement and the silent understanding that they weren't enough. You shift your weight slightly, feeling the tension building in your chest. There's no crowd here. No instructors yelling. No chaos like Bud S. Just silence. Controlled, intentional. And somehow, that's worse. The first phase is called the screener, but that name is misleading. This isn't the beginning of selection. This is the test that decides if you're even worth putting through selection. Your orders don't mention where you are. They don't mention the unit. They never will. On paper, you're assigned to a generic training detachment. In reality, you're standing at the edge of the most selective pipeline in modern warfare. The physical tests start immediately. 4-mile timed runs in soft sand that pull energy from your legs like gravity has doubled. Ocean swims that stretch your lungs until every breath feels like it might be your last. Fins carve into the same scars that never fully healed from years of abuse. Pull-ups, endless your shoulders. Grind and pop with every rep. Your muscles scream, but you've heard that voice before. You know how to ignore it. You know how to push through. And so do the other 39 men here. That's the problem. No one stands out physically. No one breaks. No one quits. Because at this level, pain is expected. Pain is normal. Pain doesn't eliminate anyone. The real test begins when they sit you down in a room with no windows. 5 men sit across from you at a table. No introductions, no small talk, just a folder placed in front of them. Your folder. Everything you've done in your career is inside it. Every evaluation, every operation, every commendation, every mistake. They know things about you that your own teammates don't know. One of them flips a page, looks up, and the questions begin. Tell us about a time you disobeyed a direct order. Your instinct is to frame it carefully, to make yourself look competent, controlled, justified. But something stops you, because you realize that's exactly what they're expecting you to do. So you answer honestly, not polished, not perfect, just real. Another question comes, tell us about a decision you made that got someone hurt. There's no way to make that sound good, no way to soften it, so you don't. You explain what happened, what you missed, what you would change. You feel the weight of it again as you speak. They don't react. No nods, no expressions, just silence. Then the next question. Tell us about a shot you didn't take and why. This one hits differently. Because hesitation in your world gets people killed. You explain the moment, the uncertainty, Two candidates don't make it past the interviews, not because they failed physically, because they lied. One claimed a kill that wasn't his. The report said otherwise. The evaluators knew. The other inflated a runtime, 12 seconds. At your old team, no one would have checked that closely. Here, they check everything. Precision matters. Truth matters more. When your interview ends, you step outside into the hallway. Your heart is steady, but your mind isn't. You don't know how you did. You don't know if you're staying or leaving. You stand there waiting, staring at a blank wall, replaying every answer in your head. Then you hear it through the door. One of the evaluators, speaking to your escort, borderline word hits harder than you expect. Not good, not bad, just barely enough. You exhale slowly, because borderline still moves forward, and forward is all that matters now. That night, lying in your rack, you stare at the ceiling. Your body is exhausted, but your mind won't shut off. For the first time in years, you're not sure you belong where you are, and that uncertainty doesn't weaken you, it sharpens you, because now there's something to prove again, not to others, to yourself. Green Team, 9 months. The most advanced combat training on the planet. But it's not what you expected. It's not about who can suffer the most. You already proved that. This is something else entirely. This is about perfection under pressure, about thinking clearly when everything around you is chaos, about making lethal decisions faster than doubt can exist. On the range, you realize how far behind you actually are. At your old team, you were an expert shooter, consistently top tier. Here, everyone is, and that's just the baseline. Targets don't stand still anymore. They move. They hide behind hostages. They appear for fractions of a second. Every delay is measured, because here, half a second isn't just slow, it's fatal. You fire thousands of rounds, then tens of thousands, then more. Over 100,000 by the end. Daylight, darkness, night vision, moving vehicles, helicopters banking at impossible angles. You're pushed past the point where skill becomes instinct until your brain stops thinking and starts reacting. And still, it's not enough for everyone. 3 candidates drop within the first 8 weeks. Not weak men, not unqualified. One of them was the strongest in the class, could carry weight farther than anyone, move faster than anyone. But his shooting plateaued just below the standard. And here, almost doesn't count, he leaves, returns to his team, still elite. Just not this. You stand on the range one evening, watching the sun drop toward the horizon. Your hands are steady, your breathing controlled, your shots tighter than they've ever been. And yet, you know the truth now. Becoming a SEAL wasn't the hardest part of your career. It wasn't even close. Isn't about proving you're strong, it's about proving you're precise, honest, adaptable. Because in this unit, there's no room for ego, no room for error, only results. And you're just beginning to understand what that really costs. You realize you're the weakest man in the room. No one says it. No one needs to. You see it in the way they move. Calm, efficient, silent. There's no wasted motion, no unnecessary words, no posturing. These men don't try to look dangerous. They are. Your squadron holds around 50 operators. They're divided into troops of 16. Each troop is a self-contained assault unit capable of deploying anywhere on the planet within hours. You are assigned to one and a place in the stack. From the first day, the rule is clear. Watch, listen, execute when told, speak only when asked, and for a long time, no one asks you anything. Green Team gave you skills. This place shows you what mastery looks like. The difference is uncomfortable. You were confident before, now you measure every movement, every decision. Because here, even small mistakes are visible, not punished loudly, just noted, stored, remembered. Your first deployment comes faster than expected. No build-up, no long briefing, just a quiet notification and a timeline. You pack your gear without asking questions, because there's nothing to ask. You don't need to know where you're going. You just need to be ready when you get there. The aircraft has no standard markings, no identifiers. Inside, it's quiet. No one talks, no one jokes. Each man runs his own mental checklist. Weapons, gear, timing, you do the same. No adrenaline spike, no nervous energy, just stillness. Like your mind has narrowed down to a single point. The compound you arrive at doesn't exist on any official map. From the outside, it looks ordinary. That's the point. You're not here to control territory. You're here for one thing: a person. Tracked for months, connected to networks that stretch across borders. Tonight, that network loses a piece. The operation begins at 2 o'clock. No countdown, no dramatic signal, just movement. Fast, controlled, precise. You stack on the door behind your team leader. Your breathing slows. Your world shrinks to the man in front of you and the space beyond the door. The breach happens instantly. A sharp crack, then you're inside. Everything that follows happens in seconds. Angles, movement, light, shadows. You don't see a room. You see threats. You see positions. You see lines of fire. Your training takes over. No hesitation. No extra thought. Just action. 3 armed men appear. They don't get a second chance. The primary target is secured, alive, hands zip-tied, eyes covered. Pulled out before the compound even fully understands what happened. 87 seconds? That's all it takes. 87 seconds to dismantle something that took months to build. You move back to the extraction point. No celebration, no relief, just confirmation. Objective complete. What happens next is where you begin to understand the real scale of this work. The man you captured isn't the end. He's the beginning. His devices, his contacts, his data. Within 48 hours, intelligence teams extract everything. Names, locations, patterns. 14 new targets emerge. Then more, then more. You're not just running missions, you're feeding a system, a machine that grows stronger with every operation. And you are now part of it. Back at the compound, something changes inside you. Not physically, mentally, the outside world begins to feel distant. Conversations with civilians sound slower, less precise, less real. You listen, but part of you isn't there, because your mind now operates at a different speed, a different clarity. And nothing outside this environment matches it. Over time, you develop your specialty. Every operator does. Yours becomes breaching. The responsibility is simple in theory. You open the way in. In reality, everything depends on it. You don't just blow doors, you study them. Every lock, every hinge, every structural weakness. You learn how materials react under pressure, how shock waves move, how to direct force exactly where it needs to go, and nowhere else. Your charges are measured precisely. Grams matter, millimeters matter. Too little, the door holds. Your team gets trapped outside, exposed. Too much, you send lethal fragments into whatever is behind it. Hostage, civilian, teammate. There is no margin for error. You carry over 90 pounds of gear now. Weapons, ammunition, breaching equipment. Every step adds stress to your joints. Your knees begin to ache constantly. Your lower back tightens in ways it never did before. Medical scans confirm what you already feel. Early degeneration, damage that doesn't heal. You're not even old yet, but your body is aging faster than time. And still, you don't slow down, because when the team stacks on a door, everything stops until you do your job. You are the point of entry. The difference between movement and failure. And failure here isn't an option. After your second rotation, something shifts. You're no longer just executing, you're leading. You're promoted to team leader. Now you're responsible for 4 men. For operators who trust your decisions without hesitation. You begin to notice things you didn't before. The way each man moves, the sound of their steps, their rhythm. In darkness, you can identify them without looking. You don't need to speak. You don't need to signal. Your coordination becomes instinctive. Planning becomes your primary responsibility. Every mission starts before you ever leave the compound. Entry points, room assignments, contingencies, worst-case scenarios. You build the plan so thoroughly that nothing is left to chance. Because chance kills people, and then it happens. Your first real mistake. The intelligence says, 1 hostile inside the compound. You move in based on that assumption. Everything feels routine, controlled until the door opens, and you see 3. Time compresses. You have a decision to make. Abort or continue. You calculate quickly. Target has evaded capture for months. The window is closing. You push forward. The engagement is fast, violent, controlled. All 3 hostiles are neutralized. But in the process, your number 2 takes a round to the chest. The plate stops it. But the force breaks ribs underneath. He doesn't fall, doesn't hesitate. He finishes the room, clears his sector. Only then does he report the hit. The mission is still a success. Target secured, team extracts clean. On paper, everything went right. But later, in the debrief room, you learn the truth. Your troop chief walks through the operation, step-by-step, calm. Methodical, no emotion, no raised voice. He doesn't need it. He points to the exact moment, the decision point, where you chose to continue instead of adapting. Then he explains something that changes how you see leadership forever. There was another option, one that would have achieved the same objective with less risk to your team. The room is silent as you process it, because he's right. You see it clearly now. The angle you missed, the timing you didn't consider. He doesn't criticize you. He doesn't need to. The realization is enough. That 40-minute debrief does more than any training ever could. It removes something from you, ego, and replaces it with something better. Responsibility. That night you sit alone for a while, replaying the moment, not the success, the mistake, because that's what matters now. You don't measure yourself by completed missions anymore. You measure yourself by how close you came to failure, how much risk you exposed your team to, how much better you could have been, because at this level, success isn't enough. Everyone here succeeds. That's the baseline. What separates you now is how well you protect the men beside you while doing it. And for the first time since you walked into that building, you stop trying to prove that you belong and start focusing on something far more important, making sure everyone comes home at some point. The missions stop being the hardest part. Carrying them does. You don't notice exactly when the shift happens. There's no moment, no ceremony, just a gradual realization that you're no longer the one being evaluated. You're the one doing the evaluating. You're a chief now, troop chief. E7, senior enlisted, the backbone of the troop. 16 operators look to you, even when they don't realize it. Your experience has stretched across more than a decade of combat, multiple rotations, multiple environments, multiple losses. Your job isn't to be the fastest, or the strongest, or even the best shooter anymore. Your job is judgment, and judgment is built on memory. Every mission you've seen, every mistake you've made, every mistake you've watched others make, all of it stored, ready to be used in seconds. When the troop commander is asked if the unit is ready, he looks at you before answering because your answer is the truth. Training changes under you. You're no longer just participating, you're shaping it. You push standards higher. Not because you want to impress anyone, but because you know exactly what happens when standards slip. You've seen it, and you refuse to see it again. Planning sessions become more complex. Satellite imagery updated constantly. Drone feeds running for hours. Signals intelligence translated from languages you don't speak, but understand through patterns. Human sources layered in, some reliable, some not. You take all of it and simplify it. Because in the end, the plan must be something 16 men can execute in darkness. Without speaking, without hesitation, without confusion. That's your responsibility now. Clarity under chaos. But there's another side to this role, one that doesn't show up in reports. You've lost people, 7 across your career. Different missions, different countries, same result. You keep their photos on your phone, not on display, not shared, just there. You don't open the folder often, but you never delete it. Sometimes, late at night, you scroll through it. Faces frozen in moments that had no idea what was coming. Laughing, relaxed, alive. You close it quickly, because staying there too long changes something in you. You've started drinking more, not recklessly, not enough to affect your work. You're too disciplined for that, but enough that it's noticeable. Enough that your wife leaves brochures on the kitchen counter. Behavioral health, counseling, quiet suggestions. You see them every morning, you don't pick them up, because in your mind, you're still in control. Promotion comes again. This time, it changes everything. You're no longer the chief, you're the troop commander. 16 men, all of them among the most capable operators in the world. All of them trusting your decisions. You're not the most experienced in the room anymore. Your chief is. Your team leaders carry years of operational knowledge. Your role is different now. You are the steady point, the one who doesn't drift when everything else does. You sit in planning rooms with intelligence officers, analysts, and higher command. You translate strategy into execution. Take something complex and make it actionable. Then you step back and let your men do what they do best. That's the hardest part. Restraint. You trained to kick doors. You're still capable of it, but now you don't. You stay in the tactical operations. Center watching feeds, listening to calmest, making decisions that affect everything happening in real time, and then one night, it goes wrong. The breach is clean, the entry is clean, then the explosion hits. Secondary device, hidden, undetected, the blast echoes through the comms. For a split second, everything goes silent. Then voices, sharp, controlled, but different. 2 operators are hit, not killed, but injured. You don't freeze, you don't hesitate. You move, you coordinate evacuation. Call in support, adjust the operation, maintain communication with higher command. Your voice stays level, clear, focused, because it has to. The mission ends, the men come back. The wounded survive. On paper, it's contained manageable. But when it's over and the room empties, your hands start shaking. You sit there alone for a moment, staring at the screens that just hours ago carried real-time life and death. That's when you understand something fully for the first time. Leadership isn't about control, it's about responsibility. And responsibility never turns off. Years pass. More missions, more decisions, more weight. You move up again, squadron commander. Now you're responsible for over 50 operators and more than 100 support personnel, analysts, technicians, specialists. You don't just deploy a team anymore, you deploy an entire system, self-contained, self-sufficient, capable of operating anywhere. You sit in rooms where operations are approved or denied, where decisions impact entire regions, and your voice matters. Because everyone in that room understands one thing. If the mission goes forward, your people are the ones stepping through the door. And you've done that job. You know exactly what you're asking of them. That's why your judgment carries weight. Then comes the final level, commanding officer. Now it's all of it. Every squadron, every mission, every decision. You report directly to the highest levels of military. Command. Sometimes beyond that. The work isn't tactical anymore. It's strategic, political, moral. You authorize operations, knowing exactly what they cost, because you've paid that. Cost yourself. Every loss hits differently now, not just as a memory, but as responsibility. You attend memorials, stand in front of families, answer questions. You can't fully answer, you carry all of it, every name, every face, every moment, and eventually, it ends. 20-7 years. No public ceremony, no press, just a room full of people who understand. Your career is summarized in a few sentences. Awards that can't be explained. Missions that can't be discussed. A shadow box is handed to you, your trident, your rank. Coins from places that officially don't exist. A lifetime. Reduced to objects behind glass, you leave the compound for the last time. No announcement, no moment, just quiet. Civilian life doesn't feel real at first. It moves slower, feels distant, like something you're observing, not living. You move near the ocean. Because after decades of salt air, anywhere else feels wrong. You wake up at 0430 every morning, not by choice. Your body doesn't know how to stop. You run. Slower now, knees braced, breathing heavier. Your ears never stop ringing. Silence doesn't exist anymore. At night, sometimes the past shows up, not as memories, as reactions. Your wife notices, she doesn't push, doesn't ask questions, she just sits with you, waits for your breathing to steady, hands you coffee before sunrise. She understands something most people don't. Some battles don't end when you leave the battlefield. She's the reason you're still here. You know that. You tell her. Just not enough. And somewhere, right now, a SEAL stands in a gravel parking lot outside a building with no sign, confident, prepared, certain. He's ready. He thinks he understands what's waiting inside. He doesn't. He doesn't know about the weight, the losses, the years it takes, and what it takes from you. But he knows one thing. He won't quit, and that's enough to walk through the door. It was never enough to carry what comes after, but he'll learn they always do.